Welcome to SpiceCandies. Today we're continuing the 101 series and I'll be showing you how to make coffee candies. Now this is taster's choice, but you can use any coffee you want. And there's the catch. Not every coffee will be as strong or as good for your candies as you may think. For example, Taster's Choice is one of my favorite coffee brands, but it's somewhat mild. You need more of the Taster's Choice coffee to make a candy than, for example, Jacob's coffee, which is another brand I like. How much does it vary? Well, local coffee brands, same type, granulated coffee, freeze-dried, require sometimes 3 times more than the Jacob's coffee, if you take it the Jacob's as a standard. This one takes about 1.5 times, so it varies. So how can we use a plain shot glass and a teaspoon to get candies that are repetitive and the quality is repeating itself from batch to batch and the flavor is the same flavor from batch to batch? And the answer is we can't. We need more tools. Now you don't have to spend a ton of money on tools, trust me. A plain set of measuring cups. It doesn't have to be fancy. I have my set here, which Mary got for me, so thank you, Mary. And I replaced the handles, which I like them better this way. But it doesn't have to be fancy. But you do need measuring cups, and make sure, if possible, that you get the 1/8 measuring cup, 1/8 cup. It does help. Another thing you will need is a scale. Now a scale is not that expensive. On eBay you can get these for roughly $7-8. That's not much. Same goes for this. It's fairly inexpensive. I got this for I think something like $3 or $4. This costs a lot more because it's stainless. Make sure your scale is good for at least 0.01 grams. This is a 0.001 grams, 1/100th of a gram accuracy. This is crucial for small quantities of things you want to weigh. For example, tiny amounts of cinnamon in your candy, when the cinnamon is not the main theme. So you can measure it accurately and get the right flavor just there. Another crucial tool for this is the thermometer. Now there are many types of thermometers on the market. You can find fairly cheap ones that are not non-digital. You have candy thermometers that are unique, designed especially for candies. You have digital ones that are simpler and cheaper, and I also have others, but I'm using mainly this one. It's very simple to use, it's very reliable, and I like it. Any candy thermometer you choose will be just great, as long as it's reliable and it's good and accurate. Let's make our candies and see what we can do to get this candy to be repetitive. Let's get started. In order to demonstrate the need for tools, we're going to make something a bit more complex, but yet not too complex. So we're making coffee toffee, which is a nice rhyme on its own. We'll start with sugar to make our toffee. The coffee will be added later on. We'll need corn syrup, 1/9 cup or 2 tablespoons. That's 1. And that's 2, and it's my day to spill everything. Alright. One last thing, we'll need some water. We'll need 2 tablespoons, equal amount of water. 1, 2. Give it a good stir. On high heat, small burner, and let it cook. We'll need to get it exactly to 125 degrees Celsius. If you overshoot, the candy will be too hard to handle. If we undershoot, it's going to be too soft and sticky. So 2 degrees difference will make a massive difference, although it's only 2 degrees from 125 degrees. So in theory, it doesn't really matter. In practice, if you don't use a laser thermometer, or any other thermometer for that matter, you're in trouble. I'll clean up everything and I'll see you in a second. We're at 120 degrees Celsius, and it's a lot safer to get there slowly but surely rather than overshoot and make a hard candy instead of toffee. Nothing wrong with hard candies. I love hard candies. Turning off the heat, adding and mixing thoroughly. I'll be pouring it in a second. I won't have time to show you. I'll pour in a minute and get back to you. Over time, I've tried several methods for making toffee. The best method to cool the candy rather rapidly is to pour it on some parchment paper, and I have oiled this with 3 drops of canola oil and spread it on nicely before I put it there. And as you pour it into the pan absorbs the heat rather quickly, and you can get an even and rather fast cooling effect. A good sign for this cooling effect, that the candy is not so hot, is very simple. It wrinkles. I'm not sure if you can see that. Yes, you can. You just pull it off, you can see it wrinkles, which means the outer surface is getting harder. So it's time to take it off. And I'll just let it cool like that. So our candy has cooled, it's firmed up. And you can start pulling it. And now you see it clear. You can see through it. But as I start pulling it, it will become more and more opaque as air is inserted into the candy. Pulling it is rather hard now. It means 2 things actually. One, I overshot because I was fumbling with the camera. And 2, it's probably going to be too hard to bite. But we'll give it a go. It's really looking nice. Wow. It's really, really hard now. Okay, I think I'll stop here and let it cool off. Now the best way to do that is we're going to pull it into a long sliver, a snake if you will, of bite-size thickness, and like so. And I'm going to cut it. Now, so it won't stick to itself, just like that. And you can break it apart in a fast jolt. We're going to take a plate, a large plate, put the candy over there, and sprinkle it with sugar, icing sugar or powdered sugar, whatever you wish to call it. So we have a nice marbling effect actually, because the coffee did not fully integrate into the candy. So we have dots here and there, and I actually do like it. It's really nice. Let's try a small piece. This is really sticky. I can't use it. So let's try batch number 2. Wow, it's even hard to talk. This is really catching my teeth and wrapping these with really sticky mess. So I can't give this to the guys at work. Really, I'll need a dentist shop just across the street. Okay, see you later guys, in a minute. For you it's going to be in a minute, for me it's going to be a new batch production. So see you in a second. So we got our sugar there. I'm already adding the coffee in advance this time. Corn syrup is before 2 tablespoons of corn syrup. 1. 2. 2 tablespoons of water. 1. 2. Start the heat. Small burner on high heat. I didn't point out that this is the first time I'm making actually toffee coffee, because I never thought of that before, but I do want to experiment with that. So you just saw one of the trials and errors and experimentation, and I can play with this like 5, 6 or maybe 10 to 12 times before I get the right temperature, the right times to do things, how to do these correctly, and so on, so on. The crucial point I want to make here is that without these tools I discussed of, the thermometer and the scale, I wouldn't be able to make this candy again. I wouldn't be able to make toffee at all because I wouldn't know the exact temperature. And I wouldn't be able to make this candy, specifically this flavor at this intensity, again. So these tools are vital. While the cups are really nice and easy and makes life more, let's say, easier when you're trying to weigh things like the sugar and corn syrup and so on, you don't have to have these. Any shot glass will do. But if you want to make your candies repeat themselves in the flavor, the intensity of the flavor and so on, that's what you have to do. What I'm doing now is I'm incorporating all the coffee into the candy. It's not as easy as it seems. It's not cooperating, but we'll manage, and whatever stays will give us a nice marbling effect. And this is another effect you should be aware of. Let's lower the heat. Some compounds make the candies boil over. So although we're cooking a small amount of candy, you just try to boil over. Another problem with this is that the foam generated this way will not allow you to get good temperature readings. So I'll have to keep on stirring and then taking a measurement. And we're only 103 degrees Celsius. I'll get the heat a little bit up, but not as high. and we'll keep stirring. And if I don't do that, well, you see the result, it's bubbling up. So yes, some candies are more troublesome than others, but hey, that's the price of candy making. It's a price I'm willing to pay, really. Now all this foam does make it a bit more complex to mix it properly, and you have to keep on stirring, otherwise what will happen is that the bottom will burn and the top will look just normal. So keep on scraping that bottom, guys. It's well worth the effort. And 10 seconds, we're done, I think. 122.5. Alright, we're done. I'm going to pour it. See you there. Okay, I'm risking it for you guys. See if we can pour it and get a decent candy at the same time. Took me about 10 seconds to move the camera. Maybe you should get the other one for such shots from my shop. There we go. Our candy is cooled off. You can pull it from the surface. And now it's more pliable, so I did it good this time. And it's going to get, as you can see, nice and shiny. Okay, we'll just put quite a bit of icing sugar, or powdered sugar, on the plate, and I should have done that before I put the candy on it. So as you can see, it's very, very sticky. It clings on nicely, but it's easy to remove after all if you persist. Now that my hands are nicely coated with sugar, it doesn't stick that badly, and we're going to get a really nice toffee. Nice and stretchy, chewy, but not too chewy, not too cementy. And I think it's ready to go. Just a few seconds of pulling. Okay, as I did before, I'm going to roll it with icing sugar to make it more easy to control. And we're going to pull it to a right thickness. I have quite a bit of a snake to pull here. There we go. Our snake didn't hit any corner, so we're good to go. It's nice and long, and it's getting actually hot because I was pulling it. That incorporated energy into the system. So it's nice and hot and easy and manuable. It's also very, very sticky. But as soon as you put it in your mouth, it's going to melt. Not completely, but it's going to flow. That's the right term. Right. Let's do the deed and start chopping its head. we're done with the candies. Almost. If you put these things into one box and forget about them, they'll conglomerate or aggregate back or dissolve back into one unit, one massive slab at the bottom of the jar. So you can't do that. You have to cut them and separate them somehow. I have some pre-cut sandwich paper. Just take a sheet of sandwich paper and cut it in half till you reach more or less this size, which is about 6 by 4. Any size would do. What I'll do is I'll just spread it easier this way. Now, take one. Make sure you powder them well so the ends are not sticky. Put it all the ends. There we go. Isn't that nice? So let's roll a few more. Now that it cools off, it's a bit harder, but not that hard. So you can play with that. That's the mark of a good candy. Toffee candy. I think now is a good time to end this. It's been fun. I'm going to try this one out for now. Yes. Sticky. Not too sticky. Just like chewing gum when you get it the first bite. It's really nice. I like it. One point before we go. Remember, these don't have any margarine in them. I don't put this non-edible reagent in my candies. So they're going to be a lot more stickier than standard toffee. It's not going to pull your teeth and bind them together and stuff like that. It's going to be chewy and it's going to pull between the teeth. It's nice. It does dissolve really, really fast, so it vanishes in less than a minute. I think it's a good one. I hope you try it. Give it a try. Make it for your friends. It's a lot more effort because of all the wrapping. Wrapping does take some time, but I think it's well worth it. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it and have a sweet day.